this morning, it was CNBC and then maybe Reuters.
Reuters sent push notifications. They sent one saying, hey, Trump is considering this, and a follow-up saying, actually, that was fake news. Sorry for blowing up your phone with it.
Yeah, because I mean, there's like a lot of probably wishful thinking here, and that's maybe the most innocent interpretation of this, because I think there's a lot of people who are motivated to change the trajectory of this completely collapsing stock market that has lost trillions and trillions of dollars in value over the past few days. So Reuters sent out, and CNBC followed them, sent out this notification saying that stocks are reversing course because a top Trump aide says that the president is considering a 90-day pause in tariffs for every country except China.
And a lot of people wanted to hear that.
A lot of people did. Turns out it wasn't true. But here is Kevin Hassett, who is the White House Economic Council Director, on with Fox and Friends this morning, where he's sort of insinuating that.
Will you do a 90-day pause? Would you consider that?
Or Bill, yeah, I think that the president is going to decide what the president's going to decide. There are more than 50 countries in negotiation with the president. We've got the prime minister of Israel coming today. We've had a reach out overnight from Taiwan. And but I would urge everyone, especially Bill, to ease off the rhetoric a little bit. The fact is that say 10% baseline tariff is on what 14% of GDP. That's about how much trade we have, how many imports. And so 86% of GDP is affected by the deregulation and the tax cuts and everything else. And even if you think, and I think a lot of us at the White House think that these economic responses are exaggerated by critics, even if you think that there will be some negative effect from the trade side, that's still a small share of GDP. And so the idea that it's going to be a nuclear winter or something like that is completely irresponsible rhetoric.
Oh, ease off the rhetoric, like the whole, nuclear winter that everybody is predicting. Just pull up, we have the timeline here. Okay, so that's 8:24 a.m. Hassett says that on Fox. But you heard what he just said. He did not say that he was going to do a 90-day pause or that he was considering it. That was Kilmeade's question. He said, Kilmeade, would Trump consider a 90-day pause on tariffs? And Hassett says, the president's going to decide what the president's going to decide. But Rupar clips it 5 minutes later. Then this account, Delta One, around 2 hours later, an hour and a half, tweeted that the White House is considering that's not the right video here. Okay. Tweets that the White House is considering a 90-day pause. Do we have that tweet? This is one of these like aggregators on Twitter. You'll see this on the NFL side, like that guy Dov Kleinman, who's just a bot that is very pro Tom Brady, but I digress. Just some of the worst people on the internet who, by the way, just like steal journalists' work and then mill it out for content. But this is also part of the problem with social media when Elon Musk destroyed the platform. So there's more and more fake news. There's more bots. There's more porn.
More opportunities to validate the reality that you would like to see in the world, but that might not actually be there.
There's no truth. There's just what the my truth. That's the social media.
But you might get a chance to see something on Twitter that makes you say this.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
So that's 7:13 a.m. Pacific. This is actually 10:13 a.m. Eastern. This aggregator guy, Hassett, Trump is considering a 90-day pause in tariffs for all countries except China. And
I love that it's Walter Bloomberg, and it's a guy who paid for the blue check.
I know.
It's not like somebody from Bloomberg.
Right. All the people that work at Bloomberg are related to Mike Bloomberg. Maybe some people were fooled by that. D Ita 1 with the blue check says this.
Delta 1, I guess that means.
No, but that's an I.
Yeah, that's weird.
Delta 1. All right, interesting.
It's a cool way to spell it.
So in response to this, the market went up 7 to 10%, and then they had to delete that tweet. So there was a bit of a dip. People got really excited. Yeah. You could see it going up and then back down. And so it's amazing. There's a lot of market manipulation happening here. And there's no doubt that everybody in Trump's immediate circle is insulated from this because they're going to know what happens before it happens. This is just insider trading. And they probably are in advance buying the dips on some of this stuff.
I'm sure there's like we talk about with the private equity firms that have more cash than they know what to do with. I'm sure some of them are getting ready to buy stuff up. But we also say this is the worst 3-day span for the S&P 500, not since 2008.
Right.
But since 1987, which I think was probably the savings and loan crisis, or I'm not sure what was. I think that's maybe what it was.
And Bill Ackman, who's that Zionist billionaire that was also a mega donor to Donald Trump, but he was the guy that was responsible for doxing the Harvard students for protesting genocide. He made some claim that Howard Lutnick and Cantor Fitzgerald don't care about the economy crashing and maybe would benefit from it because his claim is, and there's no way really, I think, for us to verify it, but as somebody who's also in the rich guys club, he says that Cantor Fitzgerald is in on long bonds. So they would profit if the economy would fall or fall apart. And there's a lot of people who may have shorted the market who would benefit from this. And this is the problem with casino capitalism and why it's a major issue that we've funneled people's retirement savings into 401ks to be subjected by the market. And we read this earlier in the show. These people who are 64, 68, maybe still working, 59, wanted to retire this year, maybe just had retired, who just saw their retirement savings cut in half because Donald Trump wants the world to come to him and kiss the ring and give him goodies and some carve-outs. And because they want to raise revenue to justify their tax cuts for the rich on the backs of American consumers as a compounding, regressive tax on every American most acutely hitting the poor in this country. Yeah.
Can I interject?
Go ahead, Russ.
So fun Russ fact, I used to live in Chile, the country in South America, and the backbone of their economy is copper. It's
Right.
this huge industry there. It sort of dictates the economic well-being of the country. And Chile is a very small country. I think it's like 20 million people. So Chilean copper was exempted from the tariffs. But even still, I'm just reading here from an article in Mining Reporters. Chile's finance minister, Mario Marcel, stated that the impact of these measures on the national economy would be limited and could create commercial opportunities. 17% of Chile's copper is exported to the U.S., which they say gives Chile a competitive edge over China. But now, to counter the protectionist policies, Chile is diversifying its trade relationships, and the state-owned National Copper Corporation signed an agreement with the Hindustan Copper Limited in India. So when we're talking about the implications, the potentially permanent implications of the tariffs, countries like Chile are not going to sit around and wait to negotiate a new deal with the United States. They have 20 million people in their country who are depending on copper and their ability to sell copper. And they're going to sell that copper elsewhere.
And because that's exactly right. Trump has no understanding of how an economy outside of this like service economy that the United States has transformed into, what that actually means to have a significant part of your GDP be tied up in a natural resource that you sell to the rest of the world. Like, they're not going to just react to these taxes because you're a bully and because you're a strong man. They literally have to seek alternative trade deals and relationships. This is just like, I'm not somebody that thinks competition with China is a healthy thing for our country. And like, I really didn't love how that's how it was sold to the public, the CHIPS Act, right? On xenophobic grounds, as there are hate crimes that increase against Asian American people in this country under COVID. And when we use that reheated Red Scare rhetoric.
And if you're going to compete. Like,
but if you care, yeah, right. So that's all I was going to say. If you care, this hurts our competition. We're like committing. We're holding ourselves back in this competition with China based on what they're doing here.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing, America should be absolutely ashamed. And it goes back to the CHIPS stuff, not the CHIPS Act. Again, like, I think it's good to have certain important industries local, but the ban, I can't even remember what we call it, but saying Taiwan, you cannot sell the RTX 4090 to China. Look up where Taiwan is if you need to on a map. Like, that is an insane thing to do, to say you can't sell this thing to the mainland.
Right.
Like, if you want, assuming you want to, which they do. And so, like, that is embarrassing for a country that has as much economic power as we want. And it's a situation that is when allowed because, again, all these people that say we're doing this stuff to protect the workers, no, they're not. Donald Trump does not give a fuck about workers. Basant does not give a fuck about workers. They give a F about their class of people, investors, people who make money with money, getting the most money for the least amount of investment possible. That's all they care about. Like, and we're still looking to them for a solution to this. And we're going to see America's, frankly, all the things that advantage us, that made it possible to actually have done these things, get less and less possible because we're squandering our position with all these different countries around the world.
Yep. And maybe we'll play some of that, what's that guy, that YouTuber who's in China. It's just like incredible to see. Oh, yeah. What's his name?
Kai Cenat.
Yeah. But can you just you mentioned Basant. Just pull this up. I just sent this in our chat. We just had a caller call in about, who was an HHS worker, or was, about the firings at Health and Human Services. And we've speculated that this is part of them wanting to just eliminate public work so that they can put more public workers into the private sector and decrease labor power right now. But this is Besson basically admitting it in this quote. If we have it here.
The president is reordering trade, he told Tucker Carlson. We are shedding excess labor in the federal government and bringing down federal borrowings. And then on the other side of that, it will give us the labor that we need for the new So all the people that were firing from HHS and like the Forest Service, they're going to go work in factories.
Apparently.
Stupid. Just look at the non-reaction to Israel and Vietnam's effort to bring their tariffs down in order to avoid new tariffs last week. I don't think this White House is looking for opportunities to back down. I think they view this as a one-time shot to remake the U.S. economic order, with high tariffs being a necessary catalyst for that. I believe that this is going to work. Well, I would fucking hope so. I mean, I don't believe you, but I would hope.
For their ends,
yeah. What I do know is that the old system wasn't working, and if you look at a system that's not working, you've got to be brave to change it. Does that sound like language from an administration looking for an exit route, especially from Basant, who has the most Wall Street experience of the bunch? Yep, he was a Soros fund guy.
In Argentina, Javier Milei has also slashed public spending. He laid off a bunch of government employees, went after subsidization programs by the federal government for energy, transportation, very similar to what is being done here. And Milei's spending cuts show, this is from 3 months ago, the first half of this year, so this was basically this time a year ago in Argentina, almost 53% of Argentina's 45 million people were living in poverty, a 2-decade high, up from 41.7% in the second half of 2023. Some 18% of people were living in extreme poverty, while more than 6 out of 10 of under 14s living below the poverty line. This is The Guardian reporting on this. Elon Musk on stage with Javier Milei. This is like this libertarian, crypto capitalist vision of what a government is, which is privatizing everything, consolidating the power for this unitary executive, creating a network state of the United States, and immiserating people so that the guys like Trump, who is near the end of his life, and these wealthy people that want to take what they can while they can get it, works out for them, right?
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.